Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to talk a little bit about parent making and how to overall improve the quality of your parent Umas as you kind of work through building them, especially now that we are in Trackblazer, where the potential is significantly higher for them, but you may want to overall approach how you build your parents a little bit differently, as there are some more things that you're wanting to try and look out for in this scenario to get very strong parents overall. And so if you've watched me on my last few streams, you may have realized one of the main things that I am targeting on my Umas, even though I normally don't give a crap about rank, I'm not a rank tracer when it comes to building my Umas, but when it comes to parents, you absolutely want to try and aim for SS. And that is because the overall quality of the white sparks will be significantly higher. We're going to take a look at the actual math behind that here in a second. But I thought I'd just kind of showcase some of the Umas that I've built over the last few days, as that's pretty much been my main target focus, is on improving my overall quality of my grandparents so that I can then also make stronger parents for the future champions meetings. And so just kind of looking at a few of them, as you can see, my main target is trying to get SS, and like the main ones that I've saved have primarily been SSs compared to all the S pluses that I've had, that most of them have been in ditch because they were just junk in general. So like this last Silent Suzuki I just got, now the blue and pink spark is kind of pretty much the same. Nothing really has changed with that in terms of the fact that you're still trying to hit those specific stat thresholds that have the odds of getting a 3-star blue. And then the pink's just pretty much random based on what you have A's, and nothing changes much there. So you have very little control on that still at this point. But the rank does impact the quality of the white sparks quite significantly. As you can see here, much less of my sparks are 1-star, most are 2 stars, and then we're even getting a decent amount of 3 stars on there. And you can see this throughout all of my SSs, much better on the 3 stars, 2 stars, minimal on the 1-star. This Maruzenski I got was pretty good before. I got 2 power and 2 turf on this one as well. Getting some igniteds on there, a bunch of other random stuff in here at 2 stars, and that's just in general what you're going to be seeing when you can get that rank of SS. And that is because the odds of the 2 and 3 stars are dramatically higher compared to 1 stars when you are below SS. And part of that is also now kind of determining how you're going to actually build or run your Umas. In the past scenarios, you may have used like low limit break cards specifically for skills, trying to get the skills on the Uma, and then that overall made you have a lower rank. So like when I was working in Unity Cup, when I would do parent runs, my Umas would generally be A rank, A plus rank. Very rarely would I get to S rank or anything because I'm taking worse cards in order to make get more skills on them for stronger overall parents. Now with Make a New Track, one of the things that we're having to be able to take advantage of is we're able to get the strategy and distance skills primarily from rival races. And so a lot of those you can kind of take out of the picture. So your main focus should be the ones that really don't fall under that category. So that'd be something like Ramp Up, Tail Held High, Playtime's Over, Slipstream, those ones that you cannot get in that capacity. And so what that kind of changes on your runs is, to me, what decks you're going to want to be using, which is going to be a much stronger overall deck so that you can have a much easier chance of getting SS. Now, some people I know, or a lot of people are talking about, well, your aces do turn into parents as well. One of the reasons being high rank as well on those. And you generally, on your aces, your building will have a lot of the right skills. And so that is a definite possibility. But I'm finding that dedicated parent decks are still, or parent runs are still going to overall be the best if you want to make the strongest, because of some of the options you have out there in terms of borrows. One of the examples being this Seiyun Sky. A lot of people have probably seen this one. They're full up on friends, so this one you can't actually get access to right now. But, I mean, there's other ones out there as well. A lot of the strongest ones for building parents, or grandparents or parents, are not exactly good for making aces, because while the top of this one's very strong, the ones below it, while they're decent, it's kind of a mixed bag on the pinks and the blues and all that. So not as strong overall for ace runs. And so that's why I feel like dedicated parent ones are still strong in that capacity. So if you want to build strong ones, you still want to, after you have your aces, to continuously work in doing those dedicated parent runs. They are definitely going to be worth it. Now, when it comes to why the rank actually matters and how you kind of need to approach building them and start reinforcing the main skills that you actually want to get on them. The big ones being like playtime's over, slipstream, ramp up, and those ones that are a little bit harder to get, like I said, is because of the odds of actually getting the skills. So if we actually take a look here, we have a document. I'll put a link to this in the description that kind of, it goes over the genes and all that quite in depth on this one. I mean, it covers all the stuff that is going to be more important later on as we go through the different scenarios and that, because this is covering it all the way up to what JP currently has. But the thing I want to target on here is the actual math behind getting the actual sparks on the Umas. Now, I've covered this in the past, but this is kind of a good refresher of it now that you're probably getting a lot stronger, more white spark Umas. And so the first part is your odds of actually getting the white spark. And so the first part here, you can kind of see white skills. If you have the skill, your odds of getting it all the way, and then the gold skill and race skills. So if you just take the white skill by itself and you don't have that skill anywhere in the parents or grandparents, it's just a flat 20%. If it's a double hit one you can hit twice, it brings it up to 25. And so if you have the gold skill version of it, it brings it up to 40. And then race skills are by default 20. Now, you can raise your chance of the sparks based on what's in your parents and grandparents. And that is what this line over here on this chart's meaning. And this is why the looping is so important in trying to get Umas that have like all of them. And I don't even care if it's 1 star or 3 stars in some of those chains, because this applies if you have it in general. It doesn't matter the stars here. And so if you have a white skill and your parent, every parent / grandparent that has that white skill, you get an additional 2.5% chance to spark it. And if you have it on all of them, you get all the way up to 35% chance. 40% with your white double hits at 2.5. The real key one, especially of the ones you really want to reinforce, gold skills that you have in every chain gets an additional 5%. So not only do you start with a 40, but that additional 5%, or on all 6 of them, takes an up additional 30. You give yourself a 70% chance of getting that white spark. And so this is where it's going to start being key on specific Umas that have like the good golds, specific support cards that have important ones that you might want to really get into your chain. I think like Light Hello is going to have one that you're going to probably want to grind out. I think it's Playtime was Over's gold, and other specific ones down the line that'll make it a lot easier. And then race skills, of course, as you start to kind of stack those can go all the way up to 35%, kind of the same thing as the whites. No real control on these ones other than you do the race, you have a chance of getting that race spark. That's one reason that Track Blazers is so nice, is you're going to be doing a lot of these races, and it's going to continue being very strong for quite a while. And this actually has this reference document, we won't go into it, but it actually breaks down all the different scenarios and like kind of rates them based on their opinion, how good they are for parents and grandparents. And this one, Track Blazer, is pretty much going to be around for a while. You're going to still want to run it even all the way through up to Lark. Compared to the ones we have coming up like Grand Live and Grand Masters. Now, the biggest part, though, when I talk about rank is where you can dramatically improve your white sparks. And this is why you're going to see me targeting SS. I don't care about UG. You probably hear me all the time say, I don't care about getting UG, but I do care about getting SS. And that is because of this little chart right here, which breaks down your white sparks. And so the first one right at the top here, if you're below a B rank, and this is a problem a lot of people probably had early on in the URA, this is why your like very early parents were very much trash. If you're below B rank, your parents had a 90% chance on their white sparks, every single one of them to be a 1 star, 10% for 2 star, and then 0% you could get a 3 star on the white. Then after that, if you have below SS but above B, that brought up your 1 star to only 50%. So 50% of your white sparks was going to be a 1 star, 45, 2 star, 5%, 3 star. But here's the big increase that we now have fairly easy access to, depending on how you set up your Umas and your decks and all that. If you get it above or SS or above, that goes from 50% down to 20% on 1 star, 70% that it's 2 star, and that's why you're going to see a lot more 2 stars, and then 10% on the 3 star. And so this is, to me, what has dramatically changed how you should approach your parents. You should be targeting SS, even if you have to sacrifice bringing another support card that can bring in a lot of extra skills. but you only have like, you have limit break 0, and it's not going to help you at all. Maybe it doesn't have any race bonus. It doesn't have anything that can kind of carry you up to an SS. You lose so much quality of the parent/grandparents below SS now. And so that should be your main target. I mean, that is a dramatic increase in the quality. And then the next target will be UE. We're not going to be hitting that anytime soon, at least not consistently. I know the rank chasers will probably start hitting that in, I don't even know if they'll hit it in Grand Live or Grand Masters, but it won't be something you can consistently get to really worry about this. But it does increase it slightly more. It moves at another 2.5% from 1-star to 3-star. And so that is why you're going to probably see me when you see me doing runs, always trying to get SS. And to the point that I've actually now, if I have a run that I feels like is an edge case of being an S plus or SS, I might actually pull out the rank calculator. And when it comes to taking my last skills, take them based on trying to just get it over SS. Even if I have to sacrifice maybe one skill that's not as important, but I would like to have, versus actually getting the SS, because the quality is just night and day on the Umas. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't get a good one when it's below it, so, but the odds are just that much better here. And you can see it with the quality of the ones I'm getting. Now, the one thing that kind of sucks right now is we still don't really have control of the blue or the pinks. That one, other than getting the higher rating, now that we're in Track Blazer, your blues should increase overall just because you should be getting 1100 much easier on some of the key stats. Because one of the ways that I've gone about getting that SS is trying to max speed, wit, and power. Those are the two easiest to get there, and then your stamina and guts should just default be decently high enough based on the run. And I always pretty much do triple Tierra because of the way I'm approaching it with my decks, in that I have found 2 speed, 3 wit, 1 power. I'm working on Frontrunner, so I'm borrowing a max dupe or a max limit break Smart Falcon for groundwork to be pretty much the strongest for getting SS. The Umas that are the best for it, Silent Suzuka to me is a pretty hard one, but are going to be the ones that have bonuses to power, and then are also A in the whatever you're working on. One of the reasons Fuji kind of is a pain and hard to get to SS is that I'm trying to build a strong Frontrunner parent-grandparent, and because you do want to have, you get more rank based on what your skills at. So her style front is C. So all these Frontrunner skills are not providing as much rank as, say, Silent Suzuka, because she's A in it. And same can be applied to pace. If I wanted to build Silent Suzuka for some reason for a pace, they would be worse than the fronts. And same thing with the mile and long skills. So she's mile. The thing she's A in, so being mile A, medium A, she's going to get more points than that, versus if I build her for sprint parent-grandparent being B, it's going to be slightly worse. And I believe A and S are the same. A and S are the same. B and C are the same. And then I think it's D, E, and F are the same. And then G is absolute trash. So if you're taking like end closer skills on Fuji, you're going to get a lot lower rank. Now, this will be less of a problem once we get stronger cards. One thing that's going to be very convenient for getting stronger ones on your parent runs in the future that I'm looking forward to will be Throne. And so the Throne card will pretty much, for most people, be a permanent borrow if you're wanting, well, it will be for your aces for sure, but also for parent runs, just because it should get you consistent SSs. But that is just my thoughts on parent and grandparent making. I know a lot of people have been having questions about them because they probably see me doing a lot of runs on them lately. Now that I'm kind of starting to settle down for this next CM, I'm still working on my aces, but I have decent enough ones that I don't really need to heavily work on them. But if you have any questions, you always can join my stream while I'm doing runs. I'm pretty much welcome to answer anything or ask them in the Discord. But that'll be it for now. And if you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.